Welcome to part 41 of our series, Secrets of Glessner House. In this installment, we will examine the stair balusters, an example of the understated but elegant design of the house. The word baluster refers to a single upright support, often turned on a lathe, which together with a handrail on top forms a unit known as a balustrade. Larger exterior balusters, such as those shown here, are usually made of stone. Smaller balusters for interior use are often made of wood. One of the most common shapes of a baluster features a rounded bottom and tapered top, which resembles the half-open blossom of a pomegranate, known as balustra in Italian. This is the origin of the word baluster, and Italy is where the architectural element first became widely used. The earliest use of balustrades can be seen in relief murals depicting Assyrian palaces. Somewhat surprising is the fact that they were not used in Greek or Roman architecture. However, the large colonnades or rows of columns, used in both types of architecture, did influence the evolution of balustrades, when Renaissance architects turned to classical architecture for inspiration. Among the earliest examples of the modern balustrade is this staircase in the Medici villa at Poggio ai Caiano, dating to the late 15th century, designed by the architect Giuliano da Sangallo. Michelangelo helped to popularize their use in the 16th century. Here we see an excellent example on the staircase of his senatorial palace in the Piazza del Campidoglio in Rome. Finely detailed balusters found their way into many colonial-era homes in America in the 17th and 18th centuries. On the left is the Jacob C. Rogers House, known as Oak Hill, in Peabody, Massachusetts. On the right is the staircase in the home of the poet James Russell Lowell in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Balusters such as these were turned on a lathe. A square wood member would be placed into the lathe, and as it was turned, the design could be carved into it. The spiral twists were a bit more complicated to execute and would require the use of a duplicating pantograph lathe. That type of lathe would use a stylus that traces a master model and a cutter that moves exactly the same as the stylus, creating an exact copy of the master. One house of particular significance to our discussion is the Vassall Craigie Longfellow House, built in 1759 in Cambridge, Massachusetts. In addition to serving as George Washington's headquarters during the winter of 1775-76, it was the longtime home of poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The house, now a National Historic Site, was thoroughly documented by the Historic American Buildings Survey. Here we see two drawings of the staircase, showing the three different profiles of balusters that repeated once on each stair. These photos further document the elegantly designed staircase. The three designs, as you will soon see, are very similar to those used at Glessner House. Also of note is the fact that the square base of each baluster is the same height as the riser and tread above it. This feature also carried over to the staircase at Glessner House. Longfellow was very proud of the connection of the house with George Washington, and sought to preserve the building as it would have been at that time. In his poem, The Broad Hall Stair, he wrote in part, "Once, ah once, within these walls, one whom memory oft recalls, the father of his country dwelt, and yonder meadows broad and damp, the fires of the besieging camp, encircled with a burning belt. Up and down these echoing stairs, heavy with the weight of cares, sounded his majestic tread. Yes, within this very room sat he in those hours of gloom, weary both in heart and head." The Glessners had a copy of this poem in their library, contained within the collected poems of Longfellow, shown at right. John Glessner noted that architect Henry Hobson Richardson based his design of the Glessner House balusters on those at the Longfellow House. Richardson hired Longfellow's nephew, Alexander Wadsworth Longfellow, Jr., shown here in 1882, so he may well have seen the interior and noted the balusters. Alexander Longfellow was later a guest of the Glessners in their new Prairie Avenue home. In this view of Richardson's studio and office at his Brookline home, we can see several examples of balusters that were being considered for buildings then in the design process, although none of these exactly match the designs selected for Glessner House. The Billings Library, designed for the University of Vermont campus in Burlington, Vermont, was completed in 1883 by Richardson. 4 alternating designs for the balusters are used, but they are simpler than those in Glessner House, as they do not incorporate any spiral elements. For the Glessners' home, Richardson selected 5 alternating designs of balusters. They were used on the main staircase, as seen in this early image taken by George Glessner. The balusters continued up to the landing and then circled around the second-floor hall. There are a total of 209 balusters in this section of the house. Richardson also used the same 5 baluster designs for the front of the cork alcove over the front door. 57 balusters are used here. Finally, he used the 5 designs on the spiral staircase, which extends from the basement-level schoolroom up to the third-floor storerooms. 47 balusters are used here. Balusters in the staircases used by the servants in the back part of the house, including those in both the female and male servants' wings and in the basement, were of a simpler single design. They are not the focus of today's video. Richardson selected 5 designs for the family part of the house, as that is how many balusters are set into each tread on the main staircase. A total of 313 balusters were needed, John Glessner noting that they cost $1 apiece to produce. That would be the equivalent of $10,000 today. The balusters are quite slender. They were cut from wood members 1 1/8 inches in diameter. The narrowest part of the turned section is just half of that width, or 9/16 of an inch. They are also set unusually close together, the gap between balusters normally being at least the same width as the baluster itself. The 5 designs are based on variations of what is known as the barley twist and the rope twist. The barley twist is named after a traditional candy made from barley sugar, as seen on the left. The rope twist is based on actual rope. In looking at the 5 designs, we can see that there was careful thought given to their organization. The 2 designs at either end are examples of a rope twist with a closely spaced spiral pattern. The 3 designs in the middle, using a barley twist, have more space between the spiraling. You'll also note that the 1st, 3rd, and 5th balusters have a right-hand pitch, whereas the other 2 have a left-hand pitch. The 3 barley twist designs are composed of 2 spirals that start at the top and then twist around each other. If you were to cut through the baluster and look at it from the top down, you would see it in section as depicted at the right. The 2 rope twist designs have 4 spirals starting at the top, resulting in a more densely packed composition. In looking at the right, you can see how this baluster appears in section. This photo was taken in 1946 by the well-known architectural photographers Hedrick Blessing. The excellent lighting enhances the differences between the 5 styles of balusters, and clearly shows how the square base of each is the same height as the riser and tread behind it, the identical detail we saw at the Longfellow house. Richard Nicol took this image around 1970. The lighting once again shows dramatically how the 5 designs work together, and how the alternating left and right-hand pitches create visual interest. The balusters can also create unexpected treats for the eye, depending on the time of day and how the sunlight passes between them. Here we see the shadows of the different designs cast upon the wood beam below the second floor. We hope you have enjoyed learning more about the stair balusters and the considerable thought and attention that went into their design. Tune in next time when another secret will be revealed.